Welcome back to Her New Lens. I'm Tricia Rosestone, and this is episode 3 of the Empowered Vision series. In the first episode of this series, we talked about self-image, the internal picture you carry of who you are and what you deserve. In episode 2, we went into intimacy, what it means to be truly available for the love you say you want. Today, we're going practical. Because if the first 2 episodes are about becoming the woman who can see further, this episode is about the actual art of seeing. I want to tell you how I found out about this book, Visualize. I was at a Trouble Club event in London, and I heard Maya Rachoro speak. And something in the way she talked about the mind, not as something that happens to us, but as something we can actively train, she says, like a puppy. It just got me. I bought the book that day, and what I found inside it confirmed something I'd already been doing without fully understanding why it worked. So before I met my husband, I could see it, not him specifically, but the relationship. The feeling of it, the version of me that was in it. I held that image for years, and then it actually arrived. And when I was seeking a new practice, before any of the external evidence was there, I could feel what it would be like. I rehearsed it in my mind so many times that when it actually happened and I discovered my practice in Boston, it felt familiar, like I had already been there. That's what this episode is about. Not visualization as wishful thinking, but visualization as a deliberate, trainable, science-backed skill. All I can tell you is this works. These processes work. When I think about my experience, I can think of 2 that have had massive trajectory impacts on my life. One is, like I mentioned, manifesting my practice in Boston. And the second one was manifesting my husband. And what they have in common is I could see them almost before they happened. Looking back now, it's been 9 years since I met my husband. It's been almost 16 years since I found the practice. I can see the pattern in both, and that's what I'm here to talk with you about today, so that maybe if there's something out there that you are wanting, you can use this tool also to bring it into your life. So one thing I want to start with is the fact that the brain is predictive. Our brains work from familiar patterns and rehearsed experiences. So we know that we're constantly thinking. We have so many thoughts per day, and our thoughts create patterns in our minds. And we're often rehearsing experiences, whether they're positive outcomes or negative outcomes, we're rehearsing them, and we're doing it all the time. So whether we're aware of it or not aware of it, this is what's going on. And it's repetitive. We have our own unique storyline of experiences that we keep going back to. And in the same light, we have these other positive kind of dreams, ambitions, hopes, truly align with ourselves that we also keep going back to. And we are creating those stories, perpetuating them, either willingly or unwillingly. And the vivid mental rehearsal that we do on the positive outcomes and the negative outcomes create a familiarity that becomes a part of who we are, how we think, how we experience our days. So does that sit with you? I mean, can you imagine what I'm saying to be true? You know that certain storylines, maybe you have 100 storylines in your mind that you continue to go through. And there are some that are really wanting to come through. Key ideas in today's conversation is that our brain cannot easily distinguish vividly imagined experiences from real ones. So we can create habitual patterns in our minds by willingly, voluntarily experiencing them over and over again and imagining them to be true, I don't know if you follow Joe Dispenza, but this is really pivotal work for him that I love. I've done his meditations hundreds and hundreds of times. And he talks about becoming your higher self. During the meditation, he is creating this visualization experience in his way. And it's about really feeling the feelings of this future state that you want and allowing yourself to feel that actually opens up the possibility of it happening. And I think one thing many people can relate to is the anxiety piece. Because when you think about anxiety, again, we all have kind of our same triggers that we've had all along. They come up maybe in various forms, but anxiety is unconscious negative visualization. So when you're having anxiety and you're visualizing a negative outcome like fear, panic, worry, stress, you're doing the same thing. It's an unconscious visualization. You're actually priming your mind to go there, and it becomes very familiar. So it's easy to go there. It's like the more I visualize these things that are negative, the easier it is for me to visualize them. And then they can become pretty deeply rooted in our minds. And I remember being at a yoga studio, and there was a sign above the teacher, and it said, "Worrying is praying for something bad to happen." When you worry, you're engaging in and indulging in a negative storyline. So in a way, it's like a rehearsal and a preparation for something bad to happen. Like, I definitely worry. There are times where I definitely worry about things, and I think that's just human. We all do, I'm sure. So on the opposite side of that, we're talking today about deliberate visualization. And that's when we're able to take a different approach and consciously visualize things. The idea of truly experiencing positive visualization, that is powerful. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because it has the power to create brand new patterns in your mind that have opened up very highly positive, powerful outcomes. People have been doing this for decades, are athletes and performers. There's so much data about athletes really imagining themselves winning the game. They see it. They envision themselves winning the Olympics. Michael Phelps, very, very well documented how he would visualize himself winning. And it does give it, there is reason to think that this could be giving him an edge, that he sees himself doing it. Performers have to use mental rehearsal because that is in their mind, so they can do it. It's like if you have it so much prepared for you, you can reach for it. I feel like that's why we're bringing this in today. There is a very famous book by Shakti Gawain, and it says, whatever you can hold clearly in your mind with feeling, you can create in your life. So I'm going to go back now to the story of my husband. I've talked about this before, but I just keep coming back to it because it is a very key area I work with clients in, which is bringing in a partner that is aligned with their highest self and what they dream of and what they really want in their lives. And I'm speaking from lived experience here. I do love all the science, as you can tell. I really geek out on the science, and I was a practitioner. I was an optometrist for a long time, so I love getting into it. But when it comes to the story of my husband, I think it's really helpful because I got divorced at age 30, and I was single for 14 years. After the last one, I would have to say, I hit rock bottom with that. And I thought, I need to change. I have to create a different way. I have to do this differently. And I remember the idea came to me that I was going to go really deep and start putting all of my thoughts on what I wanted. Because I found myself spending a lot of time focusing on what I didn't want and experiences that I'd already had that did not work out. And I had this moment of clarity, like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm going to stop and I'm going to start really creating and building what I want. So I got serious about it. And this was a key part of the technique of the work I did the year before I met my husband. This is a key feature. In fact, this experience where I knew I had to make a change was September. And that following April is when I met my husband. So 7 months. But I can honestly say during that 7-month window, I was very deliberate about what I was thinking, how I was visualizing, what I was feeling. And I really, truly believe and know that that played a huge role in attracting, manifesting this relationship. I wanted to start over, and I allowed myself to visualize and dream about what I wanted. I did this regularly. I would say like every week, at least once, I would imagine what I really wanted, and I would have to let go of any judgment. Sometimes before that point, I might judge myself and say, why would I want that? Like, why can't I just have this? Or but I had to be honest, like, this is what I want. And I kept visualizing it. And then I allowed myself to feel the feelings of the visualization and really daydream, imagine my life in this relationship. And I did this on, and it started to feel so real to me that I knew it was going to happen. So it was like a month before I met him, I knew I was going to. So I think there's a point in time when you're doing it enough, you can feel change happening. And suddenly what before seemed way out there starts to feel like imminent, like this is actually happening. And so when I actually did meet him and things moved really quickly, my story is pretty crazy. We met in April, we were engaged in July. So this is quick. But it wasn't really for me because I had been kind of preparing for it for a while. So when it happened, it was like, okay, here it is. And a continuation of what I had been feeling. He came along and aligned with where I was in my mind. What I really felt was what I wanted. It matched, and I just kept going. And that's how it went. I was believing in it. I was committed to it. There were other aspects I did as well. I had a vision book I created, and really embodying, embracing what I wanted. And it just came in like a magnet. So I know that this can happen. There are more pieces to the puzzle. And in my training, there are 4 pillars. This is pillar 2, the empowered vision, which is really important. It allows my clients to become really clear about what they want and release all judgments, release all limitation, and go big. So next, I want to talk a little more practically about some of the ways to visualize. There's a lot of research, a lot of different methods of visualization, but the 2 that are the most commonly spoken about are outcome visualization and process visualization. So with outcome, you're seeing the end result and you're focusing on really what you want the outcome to be and allowing yourself to expand on that vision as you do it. Like some days you might do the visualization and see yellow tulips or something, in your garden. You might see yourself with a cappuccino looking out the window. You might see family dinners with a big family and everyone laughing and having fun together. In the relationship area, you might see the 2 of you walking hand in hand along a city street or in a theater or on the beach or on an airplane or anything. You can picture yourself with this person doing an activity together. Like every time you do it, it's so interesting how our minds can take us places and we can explore that inner vision we have for ourselves. And that outcome visualization is expanding on and really allowing yourself to go deeper into the outcome that you want. And then when you see it together, really feeling the end result as if it has already happened. It's allowing those feelings to sit with you. Again, with Joe Dispenza, he holds the emotion quite a long time in his meditations. And I think there's a reason for that. His science, his lab, they study this. There's a reason. Holding that feeling for long enough so it really starts to create a groove and a pattern and a space in your mind. And the biggest key with outcome is that it has to include the feelings. So it's seeing it and feeling it. Process visualization is the other one, and that is rehearsing the steps toward the outcome, not just the destination. Sometimes the outcome seems really, really far away. And so the process visualization is helpful because it allows you to have like a step-by-step plan and starting to see yourself moving in the direction of your outcome. So that's another really useful technique is seeing yourself and even asking yourself, how am I going to get to this destination? And letting yourself visualize what steps are being taken. See if there's anything you discover in your visualizations. The third category that I'm going to mention is creative visualization, which is like allowing what wants to come up to come up. If you don't have your outcome yet, you're not 100% certain, you can practice creative visualization to see what is it that you want? What would you like to happen? What would you love to have come through? And allowing yourself to just have fun with the creative piece. So that's another one that I use. And that one's useful for me even with work. Like, what do I want to do? What do I want to talk about this week? I'll work with creative visualization and let some ideas come through of, oh, I want to do this. I want to have this kind of image. I want to have this kind of work. And it kind of blends in. An important quote I want to share from Visualize by Maya Rachura here is as we're discussing the actual technical work of visualization is, she says, this is your reminder to have the bravery and boldness to go for your goals instead of just waiting around for things to happen. In a world full of distractions and pressures, it's easy to lose sight of what matters or settle for a life you didn't truly want. But if you want excellence, whatever that looks like for you, you have to demand it of yourself. And I would go in a different direction with that quote. And I would include, if you want to experience your highest life, whatever that looks like for you, you have to demand it of yourself. So I'm thinking of it more in terms of emotional matching what you really want in your heart, like your heart's desires. If you really want your heart's desires, whatever they look like for you, you have to demand it of yourself. You have to take action. You have to work with these visualizations because they can do a lot for you. And when you do them, then you can let go and allow the universe to bring in what you're seeking. You're sending a signal out what you want, and you're going to allow the miraculous unfolding of that to come to you. So you're in communication with a greater power when you're doing this. I can't believe I'm already on episode 30 of her new lens. I'm so excited. It's going by really fast. But another area that I've manifested, I haven't talked about a lot, and I'm going to get into that now. And that's about the Boston practice story. I came home after going through a very gut-wrenching divorce to Syracuse, New York, and I found a way to build a practice there that was very flexible, though I really knew there was something else for me. I just knew that I had to do more. And I started to play with the idea of, where am I going to go? What do I want? And I was visualizing a city. I've always been a city person. Like, that's just me. Ever since I was young, I remember the very first time I went to New York City and I was like, whoa, this is me. I want this. I just love the vibrance and the culture and the energy. And I knew I wanted that. And I really have my heart set on New York, and I thought I could make that happen. And so when my daughter was 6, I started getting serious about this. And I found something outside of the city I was very close to getting, but the deal fell apart at the very last minute. So that was over. And I thought, okay, now what am I going to do? Because I really want to live in a big city. I want to raise my daughter in a big city for many reasons. And I was in the same way, like visualizing it a lot. I would let myself dream of it. What am I going to do? What do I want? But I wasn't sure of the location anymore because that opportunity had fallen apart. One weekend, I was planning to go away with my friend to Montreal. And at the very last minute, like 2 days before, she said, maybe we shouldn't go there. What about Boston? And I had been to Boston before, but I did not know the city. So my reaction was, sure, that's fine. Let's do that. And I went online and I booked the hotel very randomly. And I'm driving in to Boston. It's a Friday night. And I remember driving toward the hotel and I'm looking at the buildings at night, all the lighting, the street lights, the green spaces, the parks. And I hadn't even thought about Boston before, but I just knew this is it. We get to the hotel. As fate would have it, the hotel is right on Post Office Square. It's the Langham Hotel in Boston. And I loved it. I loved the park. In the morning, I got up, I went outside, and I thought, this is where I want to be. I love this park. I love this city. So it was, again, this recognition, like this is touching into the feelings I've been having, the excitement I've been feeling. And I ended up leaving that weekend, going home, immediately getting on the computer and researching, are there any opportunities, any practices for sale in the Boston area? I see an ad, practice for sale downtown. There's no address. There's no idea what this is. So I called the number and I said, I'm just inquiring about your practice for sale. And he's like, oh, yes, it's still for sale. And I said, oh, okay, where is it? So he gave me the address and we agreed at the end of the call that I was going to go there the next week to visit. I look online where the address is. It is a block, 1 block from that park. So I'm now giddy. I can't believe my luck. And I fly to Boston, and that whole experience of going to the practice, meeting him, staying in the hotel is like a dream series. Like I was so excited because what I had been visualizing for myself actually came through. But looking back, none of that would have happened if I wasn't giving space for my vision, giving space for my dream, tapping into my truest heart's desires. It wouldn't have happened. It just so happened that I was doing that. And I can see now that it brought it in and it opened me up to the possibility. And then within a year, I bought the practice and moved to Boston. And it was the best decision ever. I have to say, though, even though I've been very devoted to the practice, I haven't been doing it lately, and I need to. So maybe that's why I decided to start working through my coaching method in this way, very methodically. With Empowered Vision is 12 episodes, and we're going on to the other pillars of my coaching program. But it's because I have maybe gone off the tracks a little, and I want to get back on because I know how powerful this is. So this talk today is as much a reminder for me as it is to hopefully help you to consider embracing this practice. So now we're going to talk about making this a daily practice. My coaching teacher was Martha Beck. I took her program, the Wayfinder program, and she talks about ideal day. And again, this is the same idea, but you allow yourself to really envision your ideal day in a very detailed way. So when you wake up in the morning, how are your pillows? How do your sheets feel? How do your blankets? Is the sunlight streaming in? And then when you wake up and get out of bed, do you stretch? Do you have a pet that's greeting you? Do you have children at home? Do you have peace and quiet? What is your ideal morning like? Do you get a coffee? How does it taste? What is the view out of your window when you're sipping your coffee? Do you sit down and read the paper? Are you going out for lunch? Are you going to have a festive celebratory meal? Whatever it is, allowing yourself to indulge in that ideal day so you get to know it better, because once again, you're creating that new pathway, you're experiencing it, you're feeling it, and that's going to allow you to feel it again and again, to bring it into your life. So that is one method, the ideal day. Another idea is kind of reflecting back on the first episode of this series about the idea of really becoming who you want to be and rehearsing it and growing in that direction now, even though it's not there yet. In the external world, really bringing that into your days, rehearsing it, who you want to be, how you want to feel. And it's really key that small daily consistency is more important than intensity. So doing it all the time, keeping it going, even if it's just 5 minutes here and there, can add up and make a difference. So there are 3 routines that you could practice daily. One is choose your practice. Do you want to do an outcome visualization, a process visualization, or a creative visualization? And there's a lot of different studies and research I've read about this, but it's useful and effective to do it in the morning and or at night. And then the second thing to rehearse tomorrow you could try is spend 5 minutes visualizing your ideal day. So you're doing your long range, your outcome, and then you're doing a short range. What is my ideal day? And embrace that day. Start your day that way. This is what it feels like. And write down any visions that come to you that you're carrying. Get in relationship with these visions. Get to know them. Get to understand them. Start making it fun. What visions come to you? Write them down. The small visualizations you do, or the creative visualizations, help anchor and really drive in the outcome visualizations, because you may not have full clarity of that, but you can start with these little creative visions to build the story. It's all leading you down to the direction of the outcome. I want to share one more quote from Maya Richoura that I loved, and it's self-belief is arguably the most important and transformative part of our character. If you have belief in yourself, you have the biggest advantage in life. And that's one thing I've been seeing over and over again with clients is the lack of self-belief they have and how important that is. You believe in yourself, you're more likely to take this seriously because you believe it's possible for you. And you believe you're deserving of it, whatever it is that you really, really want. And I could just say you are deserving of it, because when you get it, you'll become a person who embodies and radiates more happiness and joy in your life. And that's going to make a very powerful, positive impact in the world. So there's reason for this. And it's not what people think. Like sometimes people roll their eyes when I'm talking about this. They're like, oh yeah, like it's self-indulgent. But it's not, because what could be more important than being able to show up and harness your highest vision for your life? Because that's going to really light up other people's minds and thoughts and dreams for themselves. And that's going to improve people's wellness, their well-being, and it's going to help other people in their communities and their families to see what's possible for them. And it can become a very powerful chain reaction. So it's not selfish or self-indulgent to take these 5 minutes here and there to do this work. It's actually a very generous offering you're making, because you want better for you, and that's going to ultimately be better for everyone around you. And so it's important, I think, to see that. And remember, this practice doesn't have to be perfect. Even just having a vague feeling of warmth, of contentment is better than nothing at all. So don't beat yourself up if it doesn't come through every day, or if some days you have a really easy time getting into those feelings and some days you don't. At least you're trying and you're making the decision to go for it. So, the art of seeing it first, that's what this episode has been about. Not wishful thinking or fantasy or waiting for life to happen to you, but training your mind, your body, and your self image to become familiar with the future before it arrives. And if I'm honest, this episode has reminded me how powerful this practice is because I haven't been doing it enough lately. Life gets busy, old stories creep back in, but this work matters. And maybe this season is as much a reminder for me as it is for you. So before you go, 3 things to carry into your week. Choose your practice, outcome, process, or creative, and you can change that every day if you want. Pick one, start there. Rehearse your ideal day, 5 minutes in the morning tomorrow. Not just what you need to do, but who you want to be. And finally, write down the vision you've been carrying that you may not even realize. Let it be big, let it be bold, let it be whatever it is. I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. I'm sitting down with a woman who rebuilt her entire life from the ground up. And what she discovered on the other side of that process is going to reframe everything we've been talking about this season. And here's something I know. The most powerful examples of empowered vision aren't found in theory. They're found in the women who have lived it, who had to lose the old version of themselves before they could see who they were really becoming. That's next week. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And if today's episode resonated, share it with a woman in your life who is ready to start seeing it first. Also, if you're interested in working with me, I do have a few spots open this spring. So click on the links below or head to my website at triciarosestone.com and sign up for a free clarity call. Until next time, keep looking through a new lens. See you soon. Bye.